If you tell university students, we are looking for volunteers to do voter registration, the queue, you want to manage the queue, free. But we must spend. We must spend.
All right.
Which is poor people. Oh God. In appointments of people, the president is not drawn by who do we have who can do this job. They go to Marsabit and they want to find out who's in Marsabit, which family do we know which can give us a name. The Nyachai is in Kisi. The Mudia war is in Ibusia. That kind of approach, spilling over from politics to the running of government. Election is a business. It's time for people to make money. If you are in the IBC and you don't make money, you are a fool. You look at anybody who goes in the IBC when it's just like Manyora. 2-3 years down the line, they are moved from Buruburu to Karen. It's stupid. We are useless people and will continue being poor forever.
Now, what role does money play in Kenyan elections? Besides, what's the impact of the business of elections on the Kenyan economy? This is what we'll be looking at on this particular edition of Business Glide. But first thing first, my name is Richard Mwenja, your resident host here on the channel. And to help me dissect into this conversation is none other than East Africa's most renowned public scholar and Kenya's most sought after political analyst and strategist. The first of his name, in a royal black suit, Herman Manyora.
I like the way you bring a non-existent accolade.
No. They do exist. That's Manyora actually trying to play the humble pie here on the show.
Okay, let's go.
All right. But definitely you have to tell the viewers that I inspire your sense of fashion.
Thank you.
All right. Or is it the other way around?
The other way around, perhaps. I don't know. Yes.
All right, sir. Today we're looking at matters to do with the business of elections in Kenya. And it's only fair that we stand from the IEBC standpoint now that it's the whole body mandated with ensuring these are credible and fair elections. We've seen there was a provision that will see capping on how much people can spend on their campaign trails and also in financing the elections. However, IEBC recently revoked that provision and it's likely to be implemented earliest 2027. Do you see that being feasible enough come 2027? And what's your standpoint on that?
Let's first of all, let me remove blame from the IBC. IBC did not revoke. The rules were supposed to be taken before Parliament. Parliament cited procedural issues.
All right.
The timing. They say you are supposed to have brought this thing, now it's too late. And they stuck to their guns. So you can't blame IBC. But I don't even see the sense. If you say a presidential candidate can spend 4-point-something billion, it's a lot of money, by the way.
Definitely.
It's a lot of money. It's an admission that ours is a money election. 4 billion in a poor world country, poor third world country to be splashed on an election. It's too much money.
All right.
Especially given that Kenyans are not known to give for giving, say they receive. So it means you are saying you should spend your 4 billion of your money unless you stole it. No businessman will go into his bank account, withdraw 4 billion, set aside for an election, unless he stole that money.
I see.
You've seen in America, even rich candidates, they do fundraising. That culture of fundraising is not in this country. Secondly, the whole thing is useless because how will you monitor what somebody has spent? In a country where people use cash. These things work in countries where we have cashless transactions.
All right.
Where every transaction can be monitored. But in this country, how?
All right. And is there a likelihood that in 2027 this provision will be enacted?
Of course, because it was only a question of procedure. Certainly long before that it will have been enacted.
All right. Yes. Talking about matters to do with spending, recently the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee made sure the IEBC has been channeled with at least 21.78 billion Kenya shillings to fund the elections procedures and all that stuff. However, IEBC on their side are saying that they are pressuring the very same committee for more funds to be allocated to them. Would you say that Kenya's elections, compared to that in East Africa, is the most expensive? And why are we acting as though we're in a crisis?
We're not East Africa. We are the second most expensive. We have the second most expensive election, I think, in the whole world, or thereabouts. Elections in this country are so expensive You cannot even believe. Partly because of trust deficit. Because of trust deficit, for example, a simple thing like ballot papers, you need to put on all sorts of features, source it from UK,
Yeah.
at so much money, and yet, and let me tell you, we are also very stupid people. We can print our money here, and we can't trust that we can print our ballots here. You know, a poor man has a problem.
But IBC has said Kenya doesn't have the capacity to put on safety measures,
Which one?
security measures.
Money and please, young man, I'm going to get annoyed with you. Money, legal tender and what do you call it?
Ballot
A ballot,
yeah.
which is more serious.
Definitely money.
We print money here. So even exams, you saw go
Are you trying to say
meandering and wandering and rushing to UK. People think we are stupid. They laugh at us. A minister rushing to UK to print exams. They just think you are stupid.
to supervise?
They get the money but say these are idiots. You can't print an exam here. What is an exam? An exam should be, those people doing exams in Kakamega, the exam should be printed in Kakamega. Others, Kisumu, Siaya, Taita Taveta. These are useless things. So even ballot paper. So an exam, elections are expensive partly because of trust deficit. We can't trust anything. We can't trust each other. So we need all manner of protection, and that costs money. Secondly, election is a business. It's time for people to make money. If you are in the IBC and you don't make money, you are a fool. You look at anybody who goes in the IBC when it's just like Manyora. 2-3 years down the line, they are moved from Buruburu to Karen. It's stupid. We are useless people, and will continue being poor forever.
Are you trying to say IBC is fronting a false argument that because of security measures, features...
I'm saying that is one of them.
All right.
But there are many other expenses that need not be there. There are so many useless things we engage in. For example, let me give you very small examples.
Go ahead.
Elections should end by 5 o'clock.
Definitely.
You don't need lights, but they buy lanterns, perhaps hundreds of millions of shillings. I don't know how much.
Just so to be safe.
To be safe in what? The presiding officer can postpone an election and hold, if it is not going, instead of spilling into the night to bring all manner of arguments and the cases, why not do it the following day and the law allows you? Look at how many SIM cards were bought last time and how many remained. I am telling you, look at how much you spend on transport. Look at how much you spend on paying clerks. Registration clerks during voter registration. I have argued other countries that are richer than us do these things using volunteers. You who is so poor, who begs year in, year out, cannot use university students and college students to do these things on volunteer basis. Because it is also good on their CV.
Definitely.
If you tell university students, we are looking for volunteers to do voter registration. The queue, you want to manage the queue. Free. But we must spend. We must spend.
All right.
Which is poor people. Oh God.
Skeptics to IBC's competency on their job execution are saying that probably IBC is acting as though it's in a crisis, just so they'll skip some of the procurement procedures that that should be in place because of the time constraints. So perhaps instead of going through the normal procurement, they'll go for single sourcing under the bias that we don't have enough time. How true is that?
That's true, because if you want to eat, you create a state of confusion. The state of disorganization. Where there is organization, where there is order, it's not easy to steal. You steal in a state of chaos. So if you state chaos, in terms of time, in terms of procedures, then you can steal. But the truth is, and let anybody come and challenge me, to be a member of IBC is to have an opportunity for endless eating and stealing.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a likelihood of money flooding the market in terms of bribery advance to the electorate. However, what will you say that CBK needs to do in terms of just ensuring there will be at least some kind of a stable inflation that will come with it? Because definitely inflation will be there. Yes. But then how now do they strike the balance between relevant and...
No, they are the experts. I'm not an expert in monetary matters.
Definitely.
They would know what they need to do in times like this. But I don't think it is to a scale such as the one we witnessed in
Zimbabwe,
1992, when we had the Jirongo new note 500, when there was talk of print. Unless you are printing currency, unless we have counterfeit, fake money, wash. That should not worry central bank. I don't think it can stir inflation.
All
I
right.
don't think.
The civil society has come forward and say that politicians are accustomed to using money as baits before the electorate. Who is to take the blame? The electorate for taking the money, yet the politicians will seek to recoup the investment, or now the politicians are the ones that have to be held accountable?
It is the state of affairs we have allowed to obtain in the country. You can't blame the voter, you can't blame the politician. You find yourself in a state of affairs. You are a mere participant. You have no control. Politicians have no control.
But who pioneered that
Voters
state?
have no control. It's a state that we are allowed to evolve. It's something that has evolved in this country. There are many ways of handling it.
Tell
One
us.
of them is legislation, using the force of law. And I've argued, you need to outlaw Harambe in this country. Fundraising must be outlawed. And the punishment so severe nobody will try it. But before you outlaw fundraising, offer people free medical health quality, because people fundraise for that. Offer free quality education, because people fundraise for that. Now stop fundraising. Build schools, so there is no fundraising for schools. Let public schools be better than private schools. Once you reach there, then you come up with this law, no fundraising. Then we go back to factory settings. Then we ask ourselves, how are we going to identify the MP for Hamisi? Because now, how do you identify an MP? He's a fellow who has been going home, where I come from, participating in fundraising. Those now are the leaders. But how are leaders identified before this animal came in? They must have been away. How did traditional societies identify leaders? Once you outlaw money, fundraising, and nature allows a vacuum, there is going to emerge a way in which leaders will be identified. And those will be true, genuine leaders. So you start there. Then there are other things like spending. How do we move from a cash society to a cashless society?
Transaction.
You see, once you move into that arena of being cashless, cashless transaction, then it is very easy to monitor money, the move and flow of money. Then stolen money, because people use this thing, stolen money. In a country where you can move to Runda and buy a house in cash, 200 million, 300 million, and you register it in your name without anybody finding out how did you pay for this. Even for purpose of even just stamp duty alone. And you know, you cannot control expenditure in a country like this one.
All right.
It's not easy.
If you look at DP Ruto's campaign trail, a splash of money and opulence has dominated it, unlike that of Raila's. Would you say in this case, Raila is under little pressure to spend so much money on his campaign because of political lineage that is working in his favor other than William Ruto? So there is a case whereby if you are not from a political lineage that favors you, then you definitely are pressurized to spend so that you get that seat.
So when you go and sell your cow in the market, you cannot put the price yourself. You sell in a manner to correspond to how others are selling their camels, where Bilal comes from, or cows where I come from, or goats where you come from. So things influence each other. So if Ruto is spending money, Raila will be forced at some point to spend. You know, you cannot say you will be the same Raila who never spend. You will be forced to do a little spending. It may not be at the scale of Ruto, but you will need to spend on a few people.
All right, so family name and lineage doesn't have anything to do with how much you'll spend on the election.
No, you know, normally it has worked in your favor. You didn't need money. Everybody thought you combine Raila and Uhuru, the game is gone.
But they still have to spend.
But Ruto has kept the game on.
All right.
And therefore they will need to up their game, and they need to do a number of things maybe they would never have thought of or imagined of before.
Talking of the business of election, there's an element of indebtedness whereby if Manyora, for example, you have been endorsed by majority of Nairobians for the Westlands parliamentary seat,
Yes.
we still don't know why you backed out of the race,
Yes,
perhaps
yes.
because you don't have the money.
Yes.
That if I am to finance your campaign as Manyora, once you get to power, I have to recoup my investment. Is this truly happening in this economy of Kenya?
It happens especially at the presidential level. Everywhere in the world, those who finance presidential elections do it for what they will get out of it.
Not out of will?
No, many people do it for influence. They will get the tenders and the billions that come with it. In America, the big players, they support a presidential candidate, knowing they will have all the influence in government.
What happened to about being true and to supporting ideas other than...
That is not The modern governments have no ideas.
Ideologies?
Never. Which one? Modern states are really outfits for a few to use for their own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
If you are looking for a state which really works for the people, then you are looking for a state that has come in being through a revolution.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But just ordinary, this democracy, these are people who want to get the best out of the country
All right.
for themselves.
I see. Unhealthy and unorthodox competition has been witnessed in the Kenyan political space, and there is a possibility that money could be used to overrule the hand of justice, whereby if I'm acquitted, I'm charged for probably committing crimes against my opponent or whoever that is. I can use money probably to bail myself out, or just to have the law in my favor. Is that true?
You know, our judiciary is a young judiciary. It is still evolving. We are coming from a past where there was open bribery, there was influence from the White State House, and so on and so forth. So much as we are having a more assertive judiciary, there must be the relics of the past. It is still quite possible that bribery takes place in the judiciary. Of course, not at the scale we used to see in the past. So I would not be surprised if it will play out during this election cycle when people, find their way using money in the judiciary.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any wiggle room left to change the public mindset on that which has been accustomed to of Kenyan political space being for business and business for politics, and now revolutionize it to becoming a home for healthy democracy, free and fair?
We hope every day. Every passing day we hope. Every election something new happens. This election is not like 2013 or 2017. This election certainly is not like 2007. There have been elections where you had to give people money, they would queue directly. This thing is dying. And the only people with money could see parliament and places like those. These things, of course, in other areas, it was brains instead of money. But things are changing. We are moving forward. We hope that one day, one time, we will witness true democracy that is not tied to money, voter bribery. But much more important, I don't know, I thought you were saying the mix between politics and business in the country is not healthy for us.
Definitely.
When you have people making money, don't ask me how, then they use the same money to get political office, to get even more money and protect what they have stolen before, then you are in a terrible state. And this is where we are. We have the political leadership is the same business leadership. So business and politics are so intertwined that none is there to check the other. Because, for example, politics is supposed to inject into business that which is right, proper, ethical. You see? And the business people are supposed to be a pressure group to ensure that government functions well and come up with policies that are good for business. You get it? But when they are one and the same, in the same bed, then you can see the kind of problem you're talking about.
A section of the Kenyan population are saying that we have seen aspirants in the past who've bought state machinery using the power they have within their money. Now I'm talking about favors from, say, the police force and other state agencies. Does this really happen in Kenya? And are we likely to move out of that dark tunnel of buying state machinery in your favor during election times?
You see, we live in a country where money is everything. Kenyans believe money is everything. And they will do anything for money. It is sad, but it is true. And therefore, even the police who should be ensuring
fairness,
fair play, the rule of law obtains in every constituency, in every ward, in every county during the election, may also be swayed because of money. And you don't blame the police because they find themselves in a situation, like I've said, in a state of affairs where for money everything goes, including justice. It's bad, but I'm happy you can see noticeable change.
All right.
The police has become professional more than anybody would have imagined 20 years ago.
All right.
You could never have imagined that the police could be what they are today. So we are moving. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
All All right.
Yeah.
The very last, now that you're talking about Kenyan elections being defined by money, does that explain now why candidates who've endeared to the public, like Ekuro Court and the likes of Dida, have been sort of so popular, but when it comes to the final lap, August, then they are nowhere to be seen? Does that explain now where the power of money
I'm
comes
not
in?
so sure they are popular, but all I can say is that Kenyan politics evolves around money and family. So we play our politics along big names. Traditionally and historically, it was big names that fought for independence, took leadership at independence, and remain in power. We have not moved from the big name syndrome in our politics. And then we ushered in money around the second or third election. Money now defined election. So this is our bend. Big names, and when you stand, people ask, ni mtoto wa nani? Where does he come from? Wapi yuko? Mtoto wa nani yuko? That thing is what is also, so it spills over into the public service. So that in appointments of people, the president is not drawn by who do we have who can do this job. They go to Marsabit and they want to find out who's in Marsabit, which family do we know which can give us a name? The Nyachai is in Kisi. The Mudia war is in Busia. That kind of approach, spilling over from politics to the running of government and stalling government. Because government can only run on ideas. In the absence of ideas, we will remain a poor third world country. People will die of hunger. Poverty will be as bad as it is. The economy will go down until we realize you need to identify the right men and women to run the engine of government.
All right. My director just reminded me, we've seen the Auditor General flag out some shaky transactions within some state parastatals and agencies. And you've seen the exit of top state officers and civil servants who have political ambitions come the August 8th general elections. Yes. Does that probably explain where these funds that are under question are going to be channeled into?
We all know that it starts with stealing public money and it ends with the political office. It's as simple as that. So many of the people who are going in this election, who have been public officers in state agencies and corporations, in government, are going to use money they stole, not their money.
Really?
Of course.
But they are saying their churches are supporting them.
Which churches?
Their business communities, Eastleigh business community.
None of these people can explain where they got their money from.
All right.
If I was in power, I would put all of them in jail. All of them, without exception. All of them in jail without exception.
All right.
Yes.
Does that probably explain why you backed out of the Westlands Parliamentary?
No. There are dynamics.
All right. Not
dynamics,
money.
Yeah, dynamics.
I see.
And I think I'm not dying to be an MP. Those are small jobs.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that point by Herman Manyora takes us to the wrap of conversation today on Business Glide, touching on matters to do with Kenyan elections and whether money is the element that makes the man at the end of the day with regards to getting that elective seats that most of them are looking out for. And at this point, allow me to bring on board our fan of the week. And today we go all the way to Somalia. A contingent of Kenyan Defense Forces troops at a particular place called Hosingo. They say they always check on the affairs of the economy. They are not allowed to partake matters to do with politics. But they say when it comes to Business Glide, that's where they draw the line. Hosingo troops.
We are proud of our boys. They are doing us proud. Keep the name flying. Keep our Kenyan flag flying. And behave well as you have. Kenyan soldiers in UN missions, AU missions, have always made Kenya very proud. Extremely proud.
All right.
I remember the names of Odito Pande.
Yeah, General Opande.
Kenya has all. That's why when the UN is establishing a peace mission, the first name that comes to mind, Kenya. Our boys, you are making us proud.
So General Robert Kibochi should probably come over for coffee. He's doing a good job.
I think he's doing we owe him a cup of tea.
All right, we'll bring him on the show one of these fine days.
Thank you.
All right, well, that point brings it all to a wrap. Until next time on Business Glide, my name is Richard Mwenja. Up next on your screen is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day.
Wonderful.